Old Man Race Fan here. Hey, it's Indiana Sprint Week 2025. Come join us. So before we get into Sprint Week, my dad and I took a stroll down to the Grant King race shops, where Bill and Stephanie Throckmorton have a museum there in honor of Grant King. Dad was a good friend of Bill and Stephanie's. In fact, he helped build this engine many, many years ago for Billy's daughter, Miranda Throckmorton, who ran sprint cars back in the day and was pretty competitive too. And they honored Dad by putting his sticker, Zinger Motorsports, on the car. Now, our driver here in our car today, Zinger Motorsports, the old vintage car, Trace Mailer used to race with Miranda quarter midgets back in the day. The Grant King shop is really something to see. He was known for building Indy cars, sprint cars, midgets, Silver Crown cars, everything. He was really quite the fabricator, and Billy was a relative of Grant King's, grew up there actually. And here in the shop they have, the old Allens or Indy car. I mean, just there's a ton to see if you get a chance to go. Here's the Rich Vogler Grant King midget. Vogler Craft slash Grant King might have been a collaboration. And then Dan Egram's flat track motorcycle, which Grant King built kind of an offset front end on, which was innovative in the time. And then Bill's wife, Stephanie, has all kinds of things on display. Man, it would take you 3 days to really see it all if you took the time to go do it. And of course, then even Donald Trump stops by now and again. I thought that was funny. But Bill and Stephanie campaigned in IndyCar a few years ago and tried to qualify, which is pretty impressive. So if you ever get a chance, they're located down in Indianapolis, Indiana, near Claremont. Uh, go see them. When we were there, they said, "Hey, are you going to go to Raceway Park?" I was like, "Yeah." They gave us some passes to join them in their Grant King shop suite. This was really cool. It was air conditioned on a really hot day, all the food you wanted, all the beer you could drink, and a great place to watch the races from with a balcony out front. Where when it kind of became Silver Crown feature time, we actually stepped out on the balcony so that we could watch. This was a lot of fun. Jackson and I had a great time, and we really appreciate Bill and Stephanie.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
One of the things that was really cool about when we were in the suite at Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Grant King Suites, where Bill and Stephanie invited us to, was that Kenny Schrader showed up. They had arranged earlier for him to come and pick up his, out of their museum, the pit board from back when Kenny Schrader ran in the Indianapolis 500. And that was really cool to kind of see Kenny Schrader in there. How neat was that? Well, they didn't allow camping at Raceway Park that night, so Jackson and I did the red eye over to Putnamville Speedway, where we then set up camp. So we rolled into the track at Putnamville probably about 11:30 at night. It was dark, and very quietly we tried to set camp up without disturbing any neighbors. Thankfully, it wasn't super packed yet, so we kind of parked kind of far away from people. We opened up the rooftop tent for Jax, set up our awning, and then pretty much went to bed. Got up in the morning and cooked some breakfast, my old specialty. If you've seen my videos before, I just call it breakfast stuff. It's really easy. And now this year, I'm using a Blackstone 17-inch tabletop grill. And I tell you, I love this thing. It's really easy to use. It's fun. It's compact. It's portable. And you can cook just about anything on it. So, highly recommended. So, the recipe, of course, is really simple for breakfast stuff. You just start off with, a pepper and onion mix. You saute them in olive oil, throw in some sausage, cook some eggs, and then, add some cheese. And then enjoy. So after breakfast, we were at the Putnamville Speedway where we were camping, and Putnamville had a really sweet deal. Um, for $100 a person, you could buy uh, a bus ride to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the first ever official sprint car race that they had at the dirt track at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And with the ticket, it came with, a bus ride. They took you right to the gate. You didn't have to pay for camping at the speedway, which was about $75 to camp, I heard. Um, and then it also included tickets to the Friday night race at Putnamville. So Jackson and I decided to buy that deal. We rode the bus to Indianapolis. They took us right to the gate. We got in, and very easily, not a lot of walking, didn't have to fight the crowds, and then we got our seats. And as it goes with the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I mean, it's like really expensive. I told my son, this is the most expensive sprint car race I have ever been to in my life. But they had pretty good food. Jax really liked these pork shish kebabs.
Race fans, light up those cell phones and rise to your feet. It's time to make some noise for the Ruts and Guts Thrill Ride of the USAC Amsoil Sprint Car National Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, a historic night in Indianapolis for the first time. The USAC Amsoil Sprint Car National Championship set to go green. Race fans, it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
So that was really a good race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Was really kind of surprised because that's like a tiny little fifth mile tight paperclip midget track. And so in the morning after the bus ride, we came back and went to bed. And it was time in the morning to get up and make some sausage and pancakes for breakfast. It was really hot this first part of the week at Sprint Week, and I don't have any air conditioning in the trailer. It kind of made me think, I probably really ought to think about putting some AC in. That might be a project for my cargo trailer camper conversion here in the new year. So we'll see on that. Lincoln Park Speedway in Putnamville did a great job with Sprint Week, in my opinion, with the bus ride and all that. It was really, really a nice deal. And then they also had a concert and a fish fry, and that's what we did for lunch that day was the fish fry. It was really good with like green beans on the side and coleslaw. And then they allowed many of us that were camping to kind of come into the track early and mark our spots. So we had really, really good seats. That night for supper, we didn't cook anything, but I had this ribeye sandwich here at the Lincoln Park Speedway, and it was really good. So we got up the next morning and we went to Kokomo for the next night's races. And I was reflecting on Robert Ballou's win the night before. He got really emotional in Victory Lane. And I thought that was really neat. People are, they have a lot of mixed emotions about Robert Ballou. He drives really hard, not always really smart. I think that's maybe a fair assessment of him. The thing that I like about Robert Ballou is that he's the quintessential blue collar racer. He's among the professional teams, he's the only one that I know of that has a full time job and he races for a living full time too. That's really neat. So when we got to Kokomo, on the agenda was Baja fish tacos using the Blackstone. So it's really simple. You just start with imitation crab and you put some fajita seasoning on it. First of all, you saute some green peppers and onions, and I had those. Let that kind of cook for a while. I already had that done by the time I started filming. So then you just throw a couple of tortillas on the griddle with oil and fry those up. Add some cheese. And you'll see here, I'm still learning this Blackstone. When it comes to using two tools at once, I feel like I'm all thumbs. I'm going to drop stuff here all over the place and spill it and whatever, and then have to readjust. And then eventually, you flip the tortilla in half and make a taco out of it. And then, flip it again and fry the other side. Then for condiments on top, again, very simple, just lettuce, diced onions, some sour cream, and some Baja sauce. Jackson and I both really love these things. They're really good. And, I made too many here. Probably could have fed an army, but, oh well. So once again, liking this Blackstone, I think that it's been a nice addition to our camp setup. It's the 17-inch tabletop version. They do make them larger. The one thing about this that I would say maybe is it only has one burner. And I can see how it would be nice to have a larger one with two where you could get a cool zone. Like in this case, I cooked the meat first, the fish, but then I had to make sure that I kept kind of flipping it to keep it from burning. Well, it's raining. Really cool Imperial sitting here right next to us. But it's raining right now at Kokomo. We'll see if we get the show in. Well, everybody's leaving, and it even looks like race cars are leaving too. I've seen push trucks come back into the pits, and the ambulance has left. I haven't heard official word yet, but the writing's on the wall. We're rained out. We'll just have to see when this is rescheduled and come back. Yep, so sure enough, it rained out at Kokomo, and the radar really looked bad. I was watching it and kind of knew we were going to get wet. So they rescheduled the races to the following Tuesday. So, all right, that was good. So we already had our armbands. We've already got our tickets bought. So we're going to be good to go. We'll come back. We decided to go ahead and fire up the grill. We cooked jalapeno poppers wrapped in bacon. They were really good. And then finished the night off with a campfire. And that was really nice. So after the races were rained out at Kokomo, we went ahead and made a quick stop at home, refreshed, took showers and stuff, and then we got to Lawrenceburg kind of late in the day. And they were on rain delay there. So since we got there so late, we weren't super sure what we were going to do for supper. I kind of figured, well, we'll just eat racetrack food. But it turns out the people kind of next to us were having a cookout. And the guy walked over to us and said, "Hey, I forgot my spatula. Do you guys have one that I can borrow?" Well, of course, I've got tons of spatulas. So I loaned him one. And then he came back over later and said, "Hey, thank you guys. And look, we've got all kinds of food over here, steaks and chicken kebabs and corn and hamburgers and hot dogs. Why don't you guys come get a plate?" So we did. We ate pretty good. Then once we got up into the grandstands, I saw this guy kind of sitting in front of us with this really neat shirt on, and I took a picture of it. It's the old Al Unser sprint car that Grant King built, the Johnny Lightning car. And here's a picture of it. Really, really a neat paint job, and it reminded me of when we visited the Grant King shops. Billy showed me, this picture of the Indy car they tried to qualify a few years ago that was painted just like the Johnny Lightning theme. So really kind of a neat kind of full circle moment. The sky at Lawrenceburg was just absolutely gorgeous. What a beautiful sky. Uh, kind of, we were in God's country. Beautiful mountains down there, and just really, really a nice place to visit. Um, I kind of enjoyed the campground at nighttime and sat back and relaxed. Once the crowd left, it got really quiet there. It was nice. Um, but my goodness, what a crash that was in the feature. Um, Justin Grant, I was concerned about him because he stood up out of the car and you could tell he was hurt. The track officials actually carried him, pulled him up out of the car, and carried him to the ambulance. And it turns out he has a broken left foot. Um, oh my goodness. He's one of the top runners with USAC for sure. And uh, he was running, I think, second in sprint week points. And then he's also, I'm not too sure here, but he was, I think, second also in USAC points. So this injury is going to be pretty huge for him. And really concerned about that. I'm a bit of a Justin Grant fan. I kind of talked about Robert Ballou earlier. Uh, a lot of these guys drive really hard. Grant's one of them. He does too. Well, for breakfast in the morning, it was really simple. It was just a canned sausage gravy, and then I cooked some sausage, and then scrambled eggs. Um, just simple, um, really easy to do, and it turned out really well. Well, I saw where Justin Grant has a broken foot. His left foot's broken. That's why they had to carry him.
So he's out. Probably.
Who knows? It's a break. It's the break foot. If they could put some kind of a brace on it or something, he may be able to race. Well, Lawrenceburg is a really neat track, and it's been around a long time. Good races, but we went home afterwards to kind of refresh and get ready again for Kokomo. Jax went to his sister's house, and here's what they did.